Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Barnwell Senior Programming by Generations Unlimited. I'll be your host, but mostly I'll be behind the scene today. My name is David. Today we have some really awesome people that are going to be here. We're going to start you guys off with Tech 101 with Chris Crozier from Mobile Mentors. And then we're going to do a little bit of My Plate and some balanced eating. And Samantha Pace from SNAP-Ed Clemson has a really cool instructional video for making some food for us. And then to cap everything off, we're going to have Leah and Samantha do some yoga, some exercises, some workouts with you guys. We'll be here from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. today. Pop in anytime. And without any further ado, let me go ahead and switch this brand up right here. And let me call up Mr. Chris Crozier. Chris, what are we going to be doing today?
That is a very interesting question. What we are going to be doing today is we are going to be doing a whole lot of stuff. So we're going to be talking about browsers. We're going to talk about search engines, what we're going to be doing, how to navigate through our browser. We're going to be talking about incognito mode. We're going to be going through passwords and what those look like and how is the best way to use those passwords and actually how secure your current password actually is. And so that's going to be a little bit of fun. If you want to jump in here for that, that'd be great. Then we're going to be talking about what we're going to be doing for next week. And that way we can kind of give everybody who tunes in today or sees the previous video what they can expect for the next week.
Nice.
But yeah.
Well, Chris, I'm going to leave you to it. I'll be right behind the scenes the whole time. Call me if you need me. But I'm going to let the expert take over right now.
Ooh. Come on in. No. Hey guys. So my name is Christopher Crozier. I am with a company called Mobile Mentors. And what we do is we are centered around helping others learn and feel confident with their technology. Our goal is not to be a technology company. We are just a customer service company that helps out with technology. We have noticed that from working at Apple in previous years, people aren't really getting the attention that they deserve. And so we want to make sure that we bring back that confidence with technology, because there is a generation, as I grew up with technology. So I learned as it progressed. But in that time frame, there was an older generation that actually just ended up seeing technology and there being a huge gap. And so one of the things that I want to do is I want to bring back that confidence of knowing you're not going to break it. And if you do break it, there's a way to fix it. And we can work on that and get you squared away. But one of the ways to do that is by searching the internet. And the internet can be kind of scary. And we want to make sure we're going through the right things. And we want to make sure we're giving out the right information. So we're going to start off today by talking about a browser. And a browser is literally a graphics interface format that allows you to search between web pages. Essentially, it's just a fancy way of saying it lets you look at other websites. So there's multiple different browsers that are out there. There's Microsoft Edge. There is Safari if you're on a Mac. There is a Firefox. There is Internet Explorer if you've got a little bit of an older computer. There is Google Chrome, which a lot of people really enjoy, and we'll actually be talking about that later today. So what we want to do is we want to pull up our browser. And so we're going to be talking about the different functions and functionality of those things so that we can help navigate and feel more confident. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. And let's see. Let's do this. So that's me. But now I'm going to share my screen. Now, what I'm doing is I can see over here at the top. What I'm going to do is I'm going to move my mouse, and you can see it gets bigger so you have an idea where I'm at. But we're going to start at the very top. Now, I am on a Macintosh computer. And so you're going to see these three dots, and we'll talk about those, but they're going to be the exact same as if you were on a PC, except for instead of on the left, they're on the right. So the ones that are on the left, we see this is to maximize my screen. So I can push this and it's going to make it full screen. I can go back and click and it'll take it back to where it was. And then this one right here is to minimize my screen. So it'll take it down here to the very bottom. That's actually me in Colorado at Dream Lake. Very beautiful. And then the red X is a closing out. Now, this will close you out completely of your browser. And in doing so, would close out this program. So I'm not going to click that right now, but I did want to let you know what those do. Now, at the very top here, at the top here, we see StreamYard, which is what we're using to stream this. Or I also have a new tab, and that's what I'm on now. And if we notice, the new tab is highlighted here. Now, when it comes to navigating what's here on your toolbar, we want to talk about the things, the ways you would use it. So before we can just jump right into that specific thing, I just want to go over just a few more things. I know this is a good amount of information to hit you all at once, but stay with me and know that if you are on the Blackville Senior Center or the Gale Reyes Senior Center Facebook page, you'll have access to all these resources and can go back and watch these. So right over here, we have our refresh button. So if I were to go to, let's say, my website, I could type it in the correct way. That would be good. If I went to my website and I looked at the different things that are on here, hopefully a video, there it is. I could actually hit this back button, or let's say something's not playing the right way, I can hit this refresh button, and that's going to literally just refresh my screen, bring it right back up so that I can see it. Don't need this. Now, the other thing is I can click my home button, and we're going to need to talk about that. So your home button takes you to a specific home page. Mine is currently set at google.com, but you can use yours for another thing. Now, if you tuned in to last week's episode, then you noticed that we talked about privacy and security, and we even had a couple questions on security, and so I wanted to touch base on those things. So one of the ways that we can do that is we can go right over here, and it's asking me to update, but it may not say that on yours, and we're going to go all the way down to settings. Now, when we click on settings, it gives us a wide variety of different things. Now, one of the things I want to start off with is default browser. Now, a lot of people say, why is Google so great and it's giving us all these different things for free? It's not. It's tracking your information. Now, why would they want to track you? I'm sure you're awesome and fun, just like me. Super innocent, didn't have anything to hide, nothing's wrong. You've done nothing wrong ever in your life. But on the off chance that you have, Google is going to search different things and different information that you give out. And we'll touch base on those information pieces later on in the lesson. But they're going to search information that you have out there so that they can essentially serve you and give you better advertisements. These better advertisements, other companies will pay for so that they can then take that and get you to buy their product. When they get you to buy the product, Google makes more money because they're offering leads. The company makes money from buying your information. Now, there is a browser that we spoke about last week that doesn't do that. So by clicking right over here on this left-hand side, and this is only if you're on Google Chrome, it's going to be different based upon which one you're on. But based upon having users on a PC side as well as a Mac side, I figured that this was the best solution for both. So if this isn't the browser that you're using, I would highly recommend checking this one out. I think it's a great option for you, and I think it would serve you well. If you're on Mac, Safari has been known to work a little bit better and speed things up. So that might be your best option. But to serve both communities, I thought this was a happy medium. If we click on default browser, we can look over here and we can see, make Google Chrome our default browser. Or I can go in and actually use a current page or a new page. I may want to make that duckduckgo.com. So now, whenever I start up my browser right over here, then it's going to actually pull up both. So, David, would you be able to do me on one side and the screen on the other side? Is that possible? Perfect. Genius. So now, one of the great things as well is we're going to go back over to our left-hand side and we're going to click on Search Engine. Now, when we click on Search Engine, we can see over here at the top, it says Google. Now, remember, we already spoke recently about how Google tracks our information. But if we click right here on Google, we're going to go all the way down to DuckDuckGo. Now, I bet you're questioning, Christopher, I thought you already changed the browser. I thought you already changed it to be a specific startup page. And I did. But let me show you this thing. If we go back home, now it's DuckDuckGo. And that's this page, this whole thing right here. But the one thing that didn't change until I changed it was this part right here, this address bar. Now, this address bar is where a lot of people do their searching. They don't search in the actual website. They may have like a specific page that they like to go to, or a blog or a website that they like to see. The first thing that they do when they go to their browser. But when they change their address bar, which is this thing right here, we see the little DuckDuckGo symbol, because beforehand it was Google. And so Google was still going to be able to track you. But now we've changed that. And now we've got it to where we've got someone who's not going to track us through our website, and someone who's not going to track us through our homepage, and someone who's not going to track us through our address bar. Now, next thing we want to do is we want to come back over here to this right-hand corner, and we want to go to Settings. And when we do that, we can look back at privacy and security. So we can clear our browsing data. We can look at cookies and site data. And I'm sure you're asking, what are cookies? What are things like that? So sites can use cookies to improve your browsing experience. For example, to keep you signed in or remember items in your shopping cart. So let's say that you go shopping somewhere, you put a couple things in your cart, and then you have to leave all of a sudden. You come back to that site later on, and it's already saved your information. It's already saved the thing that you've got in there. But this way, if you turn that off, you don't have to worry about that. Those items may not be saved, but they aren't tracking you. You can say, I want to block third-party cookies. You could say you want to block all cookies, whatever you want to do. And then this is very good right here. Send a do not track request with your browsing traffic. So there's some websites that will actually want to track where you are, where you're coming from, what you're doing. And so they will send that data to say, hey, who came to my website? Where are they from? What are they doing? How old are they? What's a good advertisement that I can sell them that they're going to give me money? So we want to make sure that we leave that on. And everything else here looks good to me. The last thing that I want to bring up to you when it comes to these different things is extensions. Now, extensions are very interesting. So Chrome, as well as a few other search engines, as well as browsers, they will want you to add on extensions. Now, extensions are pieces of software that will possibly corrupt, but also help you out. So if you look here on the screen, you can see that there's one called Honey. And Honey is one that I use that I found a lot of people really enjoy. Whenever I go shopping it will automatically start seeing that I'm in a shopping area, and it will search all these coupon codes and try and find me the best deal. That way I save money. And so that way I don't have to do anything. It's already purchased there, and I'm able to save money. It's great. It's wonderful. Now, the next thing that I have on my list is right up here at the very top. You see this little plus sign? Your plus sign gives you the ability to open a new tab. So let's say that I'm already working on something. So let's say I'm trying to figure out everything going on with the settings, but you know what? I really need to go to apple.com to see what new device they came out with. So I'll just go up to the top, push this plus button, which I see now says new tab, and I'll search apple.com. When I search, pulls it up. I've got it all right there. And as you can tell, it doesn't really look any crazy or any different from Google. So now I've got this here. I've got my one tab that I had open before. Then if I look right over here to the left, I have another tab, just kind of like a file folder that I can click on, and it takes me right back to where I was earlier, to the settings and the cookies and everything that we were looking at earlier. But then if we look to the left and to the right, we can see we've got Apple. So I'm able to go back and forth between different pages so that I can see what's most beneficial for me, what am I trying to focus on currently, and how can I do that most effectively. So now, if I want to close out of one of those tabs, I can by closing out of all of them by clicking this red X, or the red X on your right-hand side if you're on a PC, but also by clicking just that one X on just that one tab. So if I don't want to look at Apple anymore, I can click that X, and now it goes away. And I now still have my settings and my cookie data and everything right there in front of me. So now the next thing is if we were to search, just normal search through DuckDuckGo, we'll see what that looks like compared to Google. See if that's something you still want to look up. So if I wanted to type in, let's see, Clemson. I just typed in Clemson. The only thing that really looks different is the symbol here, and there's not a ton of ads, but it looks the exact same as Google. But yeah, I think that's a great option for you when it comes to searching the internet. And if you have any questions, I'm going to check StreamYard to see if y'all have any questions for me. I don't see anything currently, but if you do have them, please feel free to send them in. And then I'm going to go back, and we are going to talk now about malware. Now, malware is just bad software. Bad software, hence the name mal from the Spanish word that means bad. And so malware is bad software that can corrupt or cause a lot of trouble for you in the future. It's not a virus, but it can cause a lot of problems for your computer in the future. So one of the ways that I combat that is I use a free program called Malwarebytes. Now, if you go to, if you do a search for Malwarebytes, it will say that it costs money, but there is a free option, and they are going to try and get you to pay for it, but you do not need that. It will search your computer for you, and I will go ahead and have David type that up there on the screen. I'm sending him the exact spelling of it, but if you type that in, you should see the ability to download it for free. And if you want, I can actually take you there right now. I'm going to open it up, and we'll go ahead and get started. And I can go to Malwarebytes, hit enter, and when I do, I can see the second option right here, Malwarebytes for home business. And then if I look in do we see that it was right here in the top right, but now it's moved once it's loaded up. It says free download. So if I click free download, we'll get that to go ahead and start it. And so we can see that it's been trusted by a lot of different people, a lot of different places. Get that free download going. We see it's loading up right here. And when we open it up and get it started, it'll ask us to scan it and everything of that nature. And so that's the program that you would want to protect you. Just that free part. You don't need anything else. Just that free part is going to protect you from that bad software. So I'd say maybe once a month, and it would protect you and all the bad software that's out there. So the next thing that I want to talk about is a lot of my clients who are a little bit older in age. They have a little bit of trouble seeing the different things that are on their screen. And so I have a little vision problem myself, but I want to make things easier for people that are using technology. And that's the great thing about technology. It's not a book, because the book, the font size that's on there is the font size that you get. And technology is a little bit different. And so what we're going to do is we're going to change our font size right into our browser. So what that looks like is I'm going to share my screen again, and we are going to go right into our settings. So right up here at the top right, we're going to click here, and we're going to go down to settings. When we go to our settings, we can click on appearance. Right over here on this left-hand side, we'll click appearance. And then when we click appearance, we can see right over here where it says font size. Medium is recommended, but I can go to large. And we see how the screen has not only bolding the font, but also has made it a larger font. But we can even go up to very large, helping us see. So by making my screen full screen, now we can see a whole lot better without having to sit so very close and hurting our eyes. But for me at this current moment, I think medium's a good fit for me personally. But if you like a larger print, totally go with that. So if that was difficult for you to see or difficult for you to follow through that fast, I just want to make sure I get as much resources as I can in a time slot that I have. Feel free to go back and rewind that and follow those steps along to see if that helps you. Now, the next thing that I have is sometimes we're worried about certain sites that we may go to or certain sites we may not go to. Maybe it's we have to put in certain information. Maybe we have to put in or go to a specific site that we're not sure. We don't want them tracking where we're at. Or I use it a lot for travel. So a lot of travel sites will track where you're at, and they'll say, okay, well, this person's from here, so we're going to charge them more money. Or this person searched a trip to Denver 5 times. We're going to boost the price because we know that they're probably going to buy the ticket. But there's a trick. There's a thing called an incognito mode, so they cannot track where you're at. And I'll pull up the whole thing on my screen so that you can see it. But if I go to this top right-hand corner, back where we were earlier, I'll share that screen. We'll go Chrome tab, and we'll add this in here. Share. If I go right up here to the top right up here, I'm going to show that one more time. Here's my cursor. I'm going to go straight up here to the top right, and it says new incognito window. So I'm going to go over here, and let's see. Can you guys see that? Could y'all see the incognito window? All right. So if you look on the screen, we can now see that you can now browse privately, and people who use this device won't see your activity. However, downloads and bookmarks will be saved. So Chrome, the browser that we're currently using, will not save the following information: my browsing history. So they won't know how many times I looked up for a trip to Colorado, or how many times that I wanted to go to Bora Bora or wherever I want to go. So they can't raise the prices. So cookies and site data. So remember how we spoke about how if something's in our shopping cart, some of those cookies are going to look at that and they're going to say, oh, this person put this in their shopping cart before. Maybe we should raise the rates on the travel agency side. The information that's been entered in forms. So if I'm going to a specific site like Department of Transportation or wherever it is where I have to put in some pretty sensitive information that I don't want out there in the world, then I don't want them to have any tracking ability to look at what my phone number may be, my social security number may be, like a business or professional email that I'm using, or previous websites that I may have visited. So my employer won't be able to see what website that I was on. My internet service provider, so Comcast, AT&T, all of these other companies won't be able to see those things. So that's the great thing about going into incognito mode, because I think it's going to be better for you depending on how you're using it and what you're using it for. So anytime you need to put in any sensitive information, or maybe if you are using your computer to put in banking information for a specific reason, that might be a better option for you. Now, next thing that I want to talk about is passwords. Passwords are horrible, and we all have a tough time with them. It doesn't matter whether this is your job, as you saw in the last episode where I actually forgot my password in front of everybody. But the thing is we get so used to saving our passwords, and we get so used to having those things just so easily accessible. Now, one of the things that we need to do is we need to have a master list. Now, this master list, what I recommend is getting it in a very inconspicuous book. It does not say passwords or password keeper or something of that nature, because if someone were to come into your house and rob you, and they say, oh, I can pick up this password book, and it's got your credit card information, it's got their password information to their credit card, it's got all of these different things, it's got their Facebook, their Instagram, it's got everything that they would have for passwords right there in front of them. They have access to a majority of things. So if your bank calls and says, is this actually you? They've already logged into your account and said, yes, it is. So you never get notified, and now you're out money. So keep it in a very inconspicuous book, or keep it in a place that only you know about, maybe your spouse knows about, and say, hey, this is a great option for you. If you want a digital option, there's an application called 1Password, and 1Password is spelled with a number 1 password. It does cost a monthly fee. I believe it's around $7 a month, but you have the ability to have a master list of all your passwords right there. But also, one of the great things is you can add your spouse to it. So in case she needs to get access to it, in case the unfortunate event of someone gets hurt or someone gets very ill and they don't have the ability to tell you what that is or give you access to their phone, you have the ability to get that and go back in and have that. Now, the great thing about it is it actually gives you the ability, once you're in a specific app or something like that, it says, hey, do you want to use 1Password? And all you have to remember is 4 numbers. If you can remember those 4 numbers, then it's going to give you access to every other password you have and put it in for you. So it's a great thing, but I recommend having a master list. I write mine down. I'm old school. I like the handwritten ability. So I keep mine safe. And we are going to talk about how to use passwords and which ways are the best ways to use passwords. So if you don't get anything from this today, and the only thing you get, hear this one thing. Each one of your passwords for every account needs to be different, period. I know it's going to take a lot of time, but the ability for someone to hack your account, once they figured out one, is very easy. So change your password. It's bothersome and it's annoying, but it is so worth it, because now a lot of accounts are interconnected. Once these accounts are interconnected, they'll figure out this password that connects to this account, that connects to this account, and now you're in for a whole lot more trouble than you thought you'd be. So one of the things that we want to do is we want to talk about numbers, symbols, and capital letters. When it comes to Apple, one of the things that they do is they ask you to have a criteria of 8 characters or more, a capital letter, a lowercase letter, and a number. So four criteria to meet just one password. Now, a lot of people follow the traditional grammatical path that they've had their whole life growing up. What that means is when they have a password, they put the capital letter at the very start. They put the number at the end. So they put the symbol at the end. So for me, what I would challenge you to do is maybe do a sandwich, and we'll talk about that in a second. We'll do a sandwich, and I'll give David an example. So I'll get him to put that up on the front of the screen. And so a lot of people do this. They do Chris 1 exclamation point. And that's very easy to guess. But what if we did one that was like this? And I will have David put this on the screen. And so the ability for these things to be hacked are going to be changed drastically. And if you don't believe me, we can try it out. There's actually a live program that will tell us exactly how long something would take. Now, this looks a lot different. So if you look on the screen, you can see that 1, my symbols come first. 2, capital letters are not at the beginning. They're in the middle, or they could be even at the end. And then 3, we end with symbols again. So that's what I like to call a sandwich. You put the symbols on the outside, you put the in the middle, you put the actual password in the middle. So we're going to try this out, and I'm going to show you the difference between what one password makes. So what we're going to do is there's a website called How Secure Is My Password. So I'm just going to type that in. How secure is my password? Let's see if we can find the website. Scroll down past the ads. Here it is, howsecureismypassword.net. So one of the great things about this is we're going to actually enter the first password that David gave us. It was capital C, H, R, I, S, 1 with an exclamation point. It would take a computer about 6 minutes to crack your password. 6. That's it. How crazy is that? And it's literally a capital letter. It's got lowercase letters. It's got even a symbol and a number in there. And it would take a computer just 6 minutes to crack. Now, what's great about this site is it actually tells you your password's quite short. Create a longer, unique password that you'll never forget. But now, watch what happens to the time frame when we change the password up. So we're going to do question mark, exclamation point, C, lowercase c, capital H, capital R, I, S, question mark, exclamation point. Just by changing it up just a little bit, it went from 6 minutes to 2 months. 2 months. I don't know about you, but I don't know a hacker who's trying to find me that's going to spend 2 months trying to get into my stuff. So I would highly recommend changing that up. Now, keep in mind also, Chris is a specific word. It's a name. But what if we changed it up a little bit more? What if instead we did something that was a little bit different? So we know that we've got Generations Unlimited, we've got the Gail Reyes Senior Center, and we've got the Blackville Senior Center, right? So we're gonna do Generations Unlimited, but we're gonna do lowercase g. We're gonna start off with the exclamation point, lowercase g, capital EN, lowercase UN, and then we'll do BLASEN, and then we did exclamation, exclamation, exclamation. And just because it's not the same as a whole word, it's not something that can be easily guessed, or words can be easily put together because it fits a pattern. It would take a computer 1 billion years, billion with a B, crack this password. How crazy is that? So I would highly encourage you today, go to this website, check it out, say, hey, is my password secure? If not, why not? It should tell you there on the bottom, but check it out. See if that's something that you think, hey, my password does need to be a little bit more secure. What can I make it that's not a word that I'm still going to remember? Can I use an anagram? Can I use something that's going to be easy for me to put together and say, I'm going to remember this password, and I know it's going to be very difficult for somebody else to crack into. But also, when you change that password, make sure you write it down on that master list, because otherwise you're going to be clicking that forgot password button quite a lot. So that's what I highly recommend when it comes to those different things. Now, when we tweaked it, we saw that there was a little bit of a change in the time frame from 6 minutes to 2 months. And when we changed it even more, it went to 1 billion years. Now, the reason why we do all those different things is because we say, one, we don't want to be hacked, but two, is we're asking ourselves consistently, why aren't we like, when it comes to Facebook, when it comes to Instagram, when it comes to all of these platforms, why are we getting such a great deal for free? And we're not, because they're hacking our information. There's an old saying is, there's no such thing as a free lunch. And so one of my biggest things, and one of my clients' biggest things, is password protection, privacy, and security. Now, we're going to be going on a few different things in the coming weeks about privacy and security. And so I'm just going to give you a few more tips on passwords, and then I'll talk about what we're going to be doing next week. And so if we go back to how secure is my password, pull that up real quick. I'm going to do is I'm going to tell you what method I particularly use. Is I do use the sandwich method as well, but one of the things that I do is I want to make sure that I remember it. So I make my password very similar to each other, but a little bit different. So what I may do is I may say, let's say I'm signing up for, well, actually, there's this thing right here that says Dashlane. So let's say I'm signing up for Dashlane. What I may do is I may do like an exclamation point, an @ symbol, and a number sign, which are the 1, 2, 3 at the top when I'm holding shift. And then I'll say 5, 6, 7. And then I'll go into dash, but I'm going to spell it with a lowercase d, capital A, capital S, lowercase h, and then an exclamation point. So that way I still have what I'm actually using there all set up. And I have something that's similar to the specific program. Now, if I'm using a password for 15 other things, I may make something similar to that, but I always make sure that I write it down in my master list. So I hope that this has helped when it comes to securing your password. But next week, one of the things that we want to do is we want to talk about a few other things. Now, if you have something that you want to be shared or something that you want talked about in the coming weeks, please feel free to follow that survey that's sent out, or comment on this video or the Facebook, and we would be sure to get that out to you. Now, next week, we are going to be talking about FaceTime, video calls, whether you're not on an Apple device. So video calls as a whole, and email and email privacy. So if you have questions on email or email privacy or any of those different things, please feel free to drop those in there. That way we can hit those high points and the things that you guys actually want to talk about. But for me, I think that's going to be it for today on Tech 101. I'm going to let David come back in here, and we're going to go ahead and get you guys started with somebody else. It was nice seeing you. I'll see y'all next week.
Hey, Chris, thanks for doing that, man. Hey, can I ask you a question?
Of course.
So I was going through the how secure is my password thing while you were going. And one of my passwords is really good, but one of them is a little scary, and I've been using them for a long time. How often should I change my passwords?
That's a great question. What I typically say is to change your password every 3 to 6 months. So based on what you use and how you use it. So like my banking information, I like to change every 3 months. When it comes to my Facebook account, when it comes to certain things that I use for social media that aren't very detrimental to my livelihood or my health or different things like that, 6 months, you can pass that off. But one of the things that I specifically do is I create a calendar event in my phone or my laptop that says, hey, every 3 months do this. And I've got a list of different things that I want to change. Every 6 months, I've got a list of these different things that I want to change. And then I go, cool. So then when I get that calendar invite, I go, today's the day I need to change these things. And so it makes it a whole lot easier because I'll pull out my master list and I'll have it all right there. I can write it down and I don't have to worry about anything.
That is super disciplined of you.
It's kind of, I was talking to a lady yesterday. She has 700,000 photos. And she said, Christopher, how do I get my photos more organized and more aligned and set up the way I want them to be? And I said, your photos, your email, and your password is just like cooking. If you don't clean up as you go, you'll have a lot to clean up when you get done. And so for me, one of the things that I want to push out to other people is clean up as you go, because people think, oh, Christopher, every 3 months or every 6 months you do this. And I'm like, yeah, but if it's every 3 months and I'm only changing 3 passwords, it doesn't take me long. But if I have never done it before and I've got 40 different accounts for different things, I go, I got to change 40 passwords, and it's a lot and it's not fun. So take those steps incrementally and make it a point. Because a lot of my clients who are a little bit older, they say, Christopher, it's hard for me to do this because I haven't done it in so long, or I haven't done X, Y, and Z. So what I do is, and what has helped them a whole lot, is they set a goal of saying, this weekend, I'm going to change 3 passwords. Next weekend, I'm going to change 3 passwords. And as long as they do that goal, they're fine, because at the end of the 6 months, they say, okay, well, 6 months from now, I need to change these passwords.
Right. Okay.
Now we've only got this many.
when they're changing their passwords, I had 2 questions as you were going. I wrote them down.
Mm.
And you're going to this how secure is my password.net.
Mhm.
What is your like baseline? Like it showed how long it would take a computer to hack it. Like what makes you feel comfortable? Like a year? Like a couple months?
What makes me comfortable is about a year, 2 years.
Okay.
Just because those are computer programs. And for me, I know if I'm
Mhm.
changing my password every 3 to 6 months, if it's going to take a computer a year, then I'm going,
You're fine.
I should be fine. I mean, because
Okay.
by the time they hack it, I've already changed it. So
Okay.
um, that's what makes me comfortable. Now, each person is going to be different, and they're going to have their subjective wants and needs, and it's kind of fun to play around with it to see how crazy can I make my password and how long would it have to be 10 billion years or 20 billion years. But it's very neat because not every um, that's just a computer program. That's not a hacker. And so a lot of people will like take their dog's name and they'll mix up the letters so that it's mixed up. And then they'll put like the year that they got the dog in the sandwich format, which is great. It's very different, but a hacker's going to know those things. So be careful. Think of something that only you know, only you or your spouse would know that means something to you, because I've had a few clients get hacked or fall prey to certain things when it comes to their email. And we're going to actually talk about that tomorrow. And so,
Right.
not tomorrow,
Next week.
but don't come here tomorrow. But yeah. So what other questions do you have for me? Anything
That's
else?
it. That's all I got. You did
Well,
everything else. Ladies and gentlemen, we have Chris Crozier today from Mobile Mentors. Thank you, Chris, so much for being here. He will be back next week to talk about email and video chatting, right? That's what we're doing?
you got it. We're going to do video chat. We're going to talk about Facebook video chat. We're going to talk about Skype. We'll talk about FaceTime as a whole, and then we'll even go into email and email privacy.
Love that. Thank you so much, Chris. All right, everybody. We are going to start up with Clemson SNAP-Ed, doing a little bit of a cooking run through with us. But first, I want to show you guys a little bit of an in-depth look at what Chris and Mobile Mentors are doing.
Everyone's been there. We've all hit a button on our phone and thought we've lost everything. We've all made a trip to the computer store to wait hours for an appointment or weeks on a repair. Just when you start to get a handle on learning your device, an update comes out and changes everything, putting you back at square one. But the thing we haven't had? Someone to help. Someone who speaks in a way that helps you understand. Someone who knows your time is precious. After working at the world's largest technology corporation for over 5 years, I realized that people weren't getting the personal attention they deserved. That's why I created Mobile Mentors. Mobile Mentors is a service-based company centered around technology that allows customers to receive training, consultations, and convenience based upon the needs of their devices. We love helping our customers and have a passion for solving their problems. Our goal is to meet you where you are and help to get you where you want to be. Your time is valuable. Spend it on things that matter. Allow us to be the friendly household name for all of your technology needs. Mobile Mentors. Technology made easy.
All right, and now we're going to do some cooking videos with Sam. So buckle up.
Hey there, Barnwell folks, and welcome to another cooking session with Clemson SNAP-Ed. So today we're going to be going through some sweet and savory options for you for your snacking pleasures. So stay tuned. So the first thing that we're going to go ahead and make is our banana bread, all right? Now, banana bread is pretty common in households and actually has been common since about the 18th century. and became really popularized around the 1930s with house moms. Now, listen, I know that you've probably made banana bread about 1,000,000 times at home, but the one I'm going to show you today has only 9 grams of sugar in it, all right? 9 grams. That's a pretty big deal, especially if you are dealing with chronic illnesses like diabetes. So let's go ahead and get into it. The first thing we're going to do is just go ahead and mash up these bananas. And honestly, I personally love recipes like this because this is a bit of a stress reliever. After a long day, you just come home and you take your stress or whatever is going on out on your bananas. So we're just going to go ahead and peel these bad boys. And the reason why I'm doing them in a separate bowl is because the recipe requires about 1 1/3 cup of bananas, and again, that's mashed bananas. So I'm doing it in a separate bowl to make sure I'm not adding too much and also that I'm really not adding too little. So we'll go ahead and get those bad boys mashed up. And I'm using a fork, but you can also use, say, a plastic Ziploc bag. I always have problems saying that word. But a little plastic sandwich bag with, say, your hands or a mallet, rolling pin, what have you. I like using the fork because it helps me to get the mashed bananas nice and fine. So I get a nice even consistency, no little lumps and clumps here and there. I don't know about you, but I've never liked banana clumps in my banana bread, but if you like it, that's perfect. So that is the first thing that we're going to go ahead and do, is just go ahead and mash up those bananas. And then again, we're going to measure out 1 1/3 cup of mashed bananas. And that's going to be our first ingredient. And we're doing the wet ingredients first, and then we're going to mix those up, and then afterwards we're going to add in our dry ingredients. And our dry ingredients are, of course, going to be our flour, baking powder, baking soda, things like that. And then we'll add them together. And typically, most folks will go ahead and add the wet and the dry ingredients in the same bowl. That's also okay as well. But if you're someone who's, say, new to cooking these things in the home, it's always a good idea to add them separately. So your wet ingredients versus your dry ingredients. So if you make a mistake, you can always start over and not have to redo the entire bowl. So definitely keep them separate. Same thing with cracking an egg. If you're not used to cracking an egg, or you always accidentally get shells and things, do it in a separate bowl and then just add it in later. No need to get fancy. I won't tell on you. So I'm getting a nice even consistency with my mashed bananas. Making sure I don't have a whole bunch of lumps and clumps, because again, I personally don't like the clumps as much. But again, if you're a fan of it, definitely leave them in there. All right. And you can't see her, but my dog is like right down on the floor, hoping that I'll drop some banana because she loves eating mashed up bananas, so she can smell it and she's excited already. I'm not sharing now. All right. And now the first thing that we're going to go ahead and do is get our 1 1/3 cup of mashed bananas and add them to our mixing bowl. So I'm just going to go ahead and start scooping that in there. Okay. So this right here is a nice, happy, even 1/3 cup. I'm going to go ahead and scoop that out. And I might need to get more bananas. Here we go. Filling with my tools. And again, this is so you're wet. And again, this is 1 1/3 cup of mashed bananas. So getting that last bit in. I've already gotten a nice full cup in there. Make sure I don't let that slide out. So now I just need one more cup or one more 1/3 cup to even this out. Now the recipe itself calls for 4 medium bananas, but I don't usually sit in the store and look, this is a large, this is a medium, this is a small. Certain ones are a little bit easier to tell apart than other ones, but thankfully the recipe has the actual measuring cup sizes on there, so we're pretty set. All right. Almost there. I want the same consistency. No lumps and clumps. All right. Now that I've gotten that done, I go ahead and set the fork off to the side and scoop out that last 1/3 cup. And add it to my wet ingredients. So, super simple. All right, so now that we've got our nice, same consistency banana mixture in there, next thing we're gonna go ahead and add is our 1 large egg. So I'm gonna crack this. And again, you don't have to do this in the exact same bowl. If you haven't done this a lot of times, or if you just always accidentally get the shell in there, do it in a separate bowl. It comes out the same way. It's perfectly fine. And then of course, the next thing we're gonna do is add in a little bit of vanilla. So according to our recipe, our vanilla extract is just gonna be 1 little tablespoon. So, ooh. Now the bananas are going to add quite a bit of sweetness because they are quite a sugary fruit. And this vanilla extract is just gonna add a little punch of flavor, all right? So no need to add several pounds, ounces, whatever the case may be of sugar. Got a little vanilla on my fingers. So no need to add several pounds of sugar in order to make this sweet. You can just as easily get away with adding in a little extra banana. So we've gone ahead and gotten our egg in there, we've gotten our bananas in there and our vanilla extract. Now it looks like we need to add 3 tablespoons of brown sugar, all right? Let's go ahead and get in there and do that. And that's light brown sugar, by the way, not dark brown, light brown. Now, some may be wondering, especially if you haven't cooked in the kitchen very often, what the difference between light brown and dark brown sugar is. Well, the reason why brown sugar is different from regular granulated white sugar is that it actually has molasses in it. And so what you're tasting, that interesting, deep, rich flavor, is the different amounts of molasses. So light brown sugar, of course, has less molasses than dark brown sugar. So not going to taste as sweet, and it's going to, of course, change the flavor of your foods. So let's see, we had 3 tablespoons of light brown sugar. So that's 1. And you always want to make sure to compact your brown sugar, all right? So you want a nice, even top. And 2, all right. So we have our light brown sugar, putting that on out the way. All right, and then next thing we want our regular granulated sugar. And with that bad boy, we are just going to put in 2 tablespoons. And I'm going to do this off to the side because our granulated sugar doesn't have that molasses in it, and so it's going to be a little more loose, and we might accidentally add too much. So remember, never pour it over the bowl if you're just unsure. And I need 2 tablespoons of this. All right. So very, very little amounts of sugar, all right? We're talking tablespoons, not cups. because again, we have so much banana in our banana bread that we're making right now, which has only 9 grams of sugar. Just gonna throw that back out there again. That you're really not going to need a whole lot of sugar because bananas are naturally sweet. And again, you have that vanilla extract to add that punch of flavor. So no worries. We're not missing out. All right. Let's see now. We've got our sugars, our vanilla extract, our egg, and of course our bananas for our banana bread. But the next thing we're going to need, according to our recipe, is 1 teaspoon of ground cinnamon, which I have, of course. And thankfully, the opening of my seasoning is just big enough for my measuring spoon, so I don't have to do any awkward pouring. I'm going to level that off just as much as possible, and that is 1 teaspoon of ground cinnamon, again for a punch of flavor. All right, so we got our ground cinnamon in there. I'm going to add that back to my seasoning collection. And then 1 teaspoon of oh, I'm jumping ahead. Look at me. All right, so we got our ground cinnamon in there, and now we need to stir well to combine. So let's go ahead and do that. All right, so make sure that egg gets broken apart. Make sure we get all that mixture off the sides of the bowl because we don't want to miss anything. And we definitely don't want banana and sugar clumps everywhere. And that is our wet mixture, our wet ingredients. Excuse me, getting done there. And so the next thing we're going to go ahead and do for this portion is essentially just to mix the dry ingredients, all right? Same thing as the wet ingredients. Whatever you're a little nervous about, feel free to do over the sink. Feel free to do in a separate bowl, and then add them in later. So let's begin. So the first thing we're going to do is add in that 1 teaspoon of baking powder that I spoke of earlier. And we want to get that nice and even as possible. So we got our 1 teaspoon of baking powder in there. And then our 1 teaspoon of baking soda. Alright, so 1 teaspoon of baking powder, 1 teaspoon of baking soda, and then only half a teaspoon of salt, alright? Not a lot, just half a teaspoon. Alright. And again, loose granules, so I'm going to just take this over to the sink and use that. Now, if you're watching your sodium intake and this is just too much salt, it's possible to cut down on it. Or maybe moderate how much of the banana bread you're going to eat, so watch your intake. Alright. And so we got our half a teaspoon of salt. Put that up there. And then the last thing we're going to do is, of course, add in our flour because you can't bake a bread without flour. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to get out 1.5 cups. Right, 1.5 cups. These bad boys out. Now you also have the option of using whole wheat flour, all right? That's a great option for getting in your whole grains. Now if you're someone who say has issues with your kidneys and can't necessarily intake whole grain, then of course your all-purpose white enriched flour works just the same. Alright, go ahead and shake that up. Make sure I'm getting it nice and even. Too much flour and it comes out dry. Not enough flour and it's a little floppy and doesn't hold up well. Alright. Check my work, guys. I think I did it. All right, cool. So 1.5 cups. So 1.5 cups of all-purpose flour. All right, adding that in there. Tip that over. All right, and then we need 2 tablespoons of unsalted butter. So, lucky for me, my butter is essentially pre-marked by the manufacturer. However, if yours isn't, feel free to slice off a chunk, and you can either use a butter knife to go ahead and smooth it into a measuring cup, or you could slice off a chunk, melt it a little bit, see if it's enough. If it's not, slice off a smaller chunk, melt that as well, then add it into your previously melted butter. There are different ways of doing it. So don't freak out if you pop off a chunk and it doesn't work out the first round. And actually, I'm going to go ahead and mark on my butter, very gently without ripping the wax paper, where my 2 tablespoons are. And then I'm just going to remove the wax paper and cut that bit of butter off. There we go. And boom. Alright. And of course this will get wrapped back up and put right back into the fridge. Alright. And I'll add this to the microwave. So now that I've gone ahead and melted my butter, essentially the next thing I'm going to go ahead and do is just mix up my dry ingredients, make sure they are nice and well combined. And then I'll add my dry ingredients to my wet ingredients that we previously put together earlier. So that's that granulated sugar, those bananas. Vanilla extract, the egg. And again, making sure those are well combined. Alright, so let's get to adding. And And now, of course, you can use a mixer for this, but I like getting the arm workout. If you're a fan of that, I definitely recommend. But also, again, you can use a kitchen mixer. You'll have the same results. And I can already smell the sweetness of that vanilla and those bananas and the spicy kick of that cinnamon. Getting that all nice and mixed up in there. Again, we don't want any clumps, so no flour clumps, none of that. So, getting that nice and well mixed in there. Make sure you get all of the batter off the sides, because again, you want a nice even consistency. Alright. And now we're going to take our melted butter and we're going to pour it in there. And then we're going to go ahead and mix that up one more time. Nice. Alright. And again, remember, scrape the sides. You want even consistency. And again, you've probably made banana bread about 1,000,000 times, whether you learned it from your mother, your grandmother, grandfather, your dad, cousin, uncle, whomever it may be. This banana bread is going to be a little different because, again, we're not really focusing on adding too much sugar or too much salt. This is going to have reduced salt, reduced sugar, and still have that sweetness and that flavorful punch. And again, that flavorful punch comes from that vanilla extract as well as the cinnamon. And that sweetness doesn't come as much from the sugar because remember, we only put about a couple tablespoons of our light brown sugar and our white granulated sugar in there. It's gonna come from those naturally sweet bananas. All right, so now we got a nice banana bread batter going, and you have multiple options. So the next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna pan this bad boy, and you have multiple options for coating your pan. All right, I love using my aerosol sprays, but another option for you would be to take a little bit of canola or vegetable oil, paper towel, go ahead and wet the paper towel with the canola or vegetable oil, and then rub around the pan. Another option would be to, again, either using your aerosol spray or melting a little bit of butter and then rubbing that with a paper towel all around the pan as well. So you've got, again, multiple options for going ahead and wetting up that pan. And the reason why we do that is just so as the bread bakes, it doesn't stick to the pan. We want our bread outside the pan and into our stomachs, not stuck in the pan. So we're gonna go ahead and get a nice coating on there. Because again, I don't want it to stick. And the aerosol sprays, whether it's baking spray, whether it's canola oil, vegetable oil, really do the same job. It's just to make sure nothing sticks. All right. And now I'm just gonna make sure that I get this nice and evenly in there. So I'm gonna pour that in. Make sure I get every last bit because we don't want to miss a thing. And again, I'm getting a huge blast of that cinnamon and the sweetness of that vanilla. So I am so excited to try this once it comes out of the oven. And as I said earlier, we've got the sweet and the savory. So we just got through doing the sweet with our banana bread, which is going to go into the oven at 350 for about 35 to 40 minutes. The next thing we're going to do is work on our savory, and that is our bruschetta. So get ready. So of course I'm going to go ahead and use our serrated blade because our serrated blade which is basically the knife with the teeth on it. And it's basically used for items that are softer in tissue, all right? So our items like our bread and our tomatoes, okay? Now, bruschetta basically originated in Italy around the 15th century, and essentially it comes from the Italian word bruciare, which essentially means to toast or to burn. And so that's really what we're going to do with our bread today. Once I go ahead and chop this up into slivers, we're going to go ahead and toast them for about 5 to 10 minutes in the oven at 350 degrees. And then we'll rub on a little bit of olive oil, and then we'll add our tomato, onion, parsley, basil mixture, and then we'll throw a little bit of feta cheese on there. And the sweetness really comes from that balsamic glaze and the tomatoes, which actually at the same time going to add a bit of acidity with that balsamic vinegar. So it's going to be great. It's perfect. So I'm going to go ahead and slice these into nice, let's see, there we go. Nice little slivers, and so about, I want to say half an inch thick. Not too thick. All right, because again, we want these to toast lightly on the outside and to not be so thick that the butter garlic mixture that we're going to use doesn't go through it, but also not so thin that it burns to a potato chip crisp. It's not very fun. All right. So see that there? We want this one, not this one. All right, let's keep it going. I'm gonna tuck my fingers out the way, make sure they're not causing any problems, and then boom. Next thing that we're going to do, now that we have gone ahead and chopped up our bread pieces that we're going to use for our bruschetta, we are going to now work on our toppings. So that will be our white onion, our red, nicely ripened tomato, and then of course our 2 cloves of garlic. All right, now with garlic, you could sit there and you could peel off the outer layers of it, but it kind of takes a bit of time, and it also makes your fingers sting. So what I'm going to do is I have a nice little mason jar here. I'm going to pop that open. We're going to stick our cloves of garlic in there. Close the lid up nice and tight. Get a nice as firm a grip as you can. If you need to, you can use a wet paper towel, kind of adds a little bit of grip on there, or just a regular hand towel. And we're just going to go ahead and shake this up. And what that's going to do is that the friction is going to knock off the peels right off those garlic cloves, and so it's actually going to make it a little easier, and again, it's a nice stress reliever. So I'm going to show you this now. Little garlic cloves in there, and then I'm going to shake it up and show you what they look like afterwards. And again, this is a very, very easy way of getting the shells or outer peeling right off those garlic cloves. All right, popping that open. Moment of truth, guys. So I'm going to go ahead and collect my cloves, and as you can see, I have my cloves here and my peels very much empty and still inside the jar. So now this can actually get dumped in the trash. I love an easy cleanup. And I can go ahead and mince, which just is a fancy way of saying finely chopped into very, very tiny pieces, my 2 garlic cloves. So let's go ahead and tuck our fingers out the way and use our chef's knife here, which is typically about an 8 to 10 inch blade that you usually see cooks or just anyone really using in the kitchen. It's a very popular blade, and it allows you to cook and prepare most items in your kitchen. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and chop that up, and we're just gonna mince that garlic really finely, because again, we're going to be using that olive oil and that garlic to make our nice topping for our bread that we had earlier. Not really sure why I forgot the word bread, but we're gonna keep it moving. And again, to mince is just to finely chop. So you want these into tiny, itty bitty pieces, and you want consistent pieces as well. So no tiny pieces and then big lumps here and there. You want to go ahead and chop those nice and evenly. Alright, so keep scooping it. Careful not to cut your fingers. One of the most common accidents in the kitchen are cuts. Can you guess what the other one is? Give you a hint. It has a lot to do with your very hot pots and pans and your oven. It starts with a B. That would be burns. So 2 most common accidents in the kitchen are cuts and burns. And so we want to keep our fingers out the way and always use some sort of protection for your cooking items, pots, pans, things of that nature, just to make sure that you are not about to burn yourself. All right, so let's see. We've gone ahead and chopped up our garlic, and so now we're gonna add that to a nice small bowl. We're gonna set that to the side now. We've minced our garlic, and I'm gonna show you in just a second what minced garlic looks like. Okay. Give it a good rinse. They're gonna smell like garlic for a while. You can always wear gloves for this also. So keep that in mind if you don't want your fingers to stink for days. All right, and then we have our minced garlic. So very fine, consistent pieces. Awesome. Now the next thing we're gonna do, okay, is go ahead and chop our onion. And of course we want to get rid of that outer layer. Now the thing about onions is that they contain quite a bit of sulfuric acid. And with that acid, that's where you get the crying and things like that. So you've got two options. You can either leave this bad boy in the fridge and use a very sharp knife, because using dull knives actually cause more surface, or they cause more surface area to be broken when you are slicing through the item with your knife. You have to put down more pressure when you're using a dull knife. And so that actually releases a lot more of the acid and actually makes you cry more. So don't use a dull knife. It's dangerous and it makes you cry more when you're chopping onions. That's not fun. So go ahead and either leave this in the refrigerator for about an hour and then cut it, or what you can also do is rinse it under cold water like we're about to do. And that's gonna wash away some of that acid and reduce my chances of bawling my eyes out in front of you on screen. And there's actually a little nifty trick that we're going to do with this onion in just a second. So we're going to give it a nice rinse under cool water. And then we're going to create a flat surface because, again, we want to reduce our chances of cutting ourselves. So tucking our fingers out the way, I'm going to go ahead and cut it in half so we have our roots here and then our stem here. We're going to go ahead and cut it in half. All right, so let's go ahead and get this guy out the way because it's definitely going to make me cry. All right, and the next thing we want to do is give it a quick rinse under cold water. Because now that we've cut into that onion, we've gone ahead and reduced that acid. Or we've released that acid, and we want to make sure that we don't get that in our eyes. Or really anywhere. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to remove that little bit of the stem at the end. So we want this gone. All right, rinse it. And just know that rinsing it under cold water is not going to reduce the flavor of the onions at all. Trust me, they are powerful enough. All right, and then we're going to go ahead and keeping our roots intact. We don't want to cut those off yet. We're going to go ahead and slice, I would say, horizontally. That would be vertically. So we're going to slice vertically, with our roots sitting at the top still intact, all right? So we're gonna give it some nice vertical slices in there. And we're not gonna cut all the way through. The reason being is because this is actually gonna keep our onion, which has multiple layers, it's gonna keep our onion intact. So while we're chopping, it's not gonna have little bits flying all over the place and falling apart, because that makes it more dangerous when we're chopping it up and also gives us those uneven pieces that don't cook just right. So keep those fingers tucked. All right, I'm going to give this a quick rinse under the water. No tears yet, so far so good. Keeping those fingers tucked. And again, that water is not going to reduce the flavor of our onions. They're strong enough. They'll survive. And you will have plenty to feed, and you will live to tell the tale without crying. All right, and now again, we're going to tuck our fingers, and just to kind of show you, so my roots are still, there she is. My roots are still intact, and I've gone ahead and cut vertically. So as you can see, my onion, even though I'm holding it like this, really isn't falling apart too much. Actually, I can kind of slide everybody back in place. There she goes. And she's still together. And that's what you want, because it's going to make it a little bit easier for you to cut this up into small pieces. All right. So we're not necessarily going to mince it, but we're going to chop it into nice fine pieces, because we want that onion flavor, but we don't want it to override the entire appetizer, the entire food item, our bruschetta. So just to kind of give you an idea, nice, small, even pieces. And I am feeling that acid now, guys. I hope I don't cry in front of you. All right, so here we go. Almost there. And our recipe calls for 1/4 cup of finely diced white onion. And so I think I've gone ahead and I've gotten 1/4 cup in there. No, 1/4 cup. And this onion, of course, can be baggied and saved for dinner, saved for lunch, saved for a salad, whatever it is that you'd like to use it for. I'm going to go ahead and give my hands a quick wash. Just a quick one. Because between the garlic and the onion, we're going to smell that for a bit. Again, you can always use gloves, though. All right. And let's go ahead and there she is. We'll pull out our baggies and go ahead and save the rest of that onion. Because again, I could always use this later. We don't waste food in this house. That sounds like a banana bread, so I should probably go check on that. And in order for me to check on it, I could take a knife or a toothpick, stick it into the banana bread, lift it out, and if it looks like I've got a bunch of creamy batter on there, then it's not done. But if I put it in there and pull it out and it's completely dry, then it's all done. So, let's set that to the side and check on our banana bread. Next thing we're going to go ahead and do, and I've gone ahead and checked that banana bread, and it did need just a couple more minutes, which is cool. 35 to 40 minutes. Alright, so the next thing we're going to do is go ahead and use our serrated blade and chop our tomato for our bruschetta. Because remember, the tomato is the star of the show. So we're going to create a flat surface, making sure we stay safe. And we can actually do the exact same thing that we did with the onion, or we could just cut straight through. And with most bruschetta, usually you remove the more moist part, the part with the seeds and things like that. You could also keep it in there. It's completely up to you. So we can remove the seeds. And then we just want to chop that into nicely small pieces. Because remember, we want this to fit on our toast. Okay, so they can't be too big. Otherwise, we're just going to have about 2 or 3 pieces of tomato on there and not a whole lot of topping. And we want lots of topping. So we're going to go ahead and remove the seeds once more. And then we just have the nice firmer part of the fruit. And yes, tomatoes are technically fruit. But we consider them vegetables for so long that we just call them vegetables. Gonna go ahead and do that. Removing our seeds, just taking on that firm part of the tomato. And it's also going to create a really nice presentation once we're all done. And I'll check on that banana bread in just a minute. There we go. Just gonna keep chopping that. And you want to make sure, go ahead and get rid of that piece. So you want to make sure that you're getting this into nice, even bits, all right? If they're uneven, that's okay too. Your stomach can't tell the difference. Now your party guests, them I'm not so sure about. But real friends don't make friends feel, well, yeah. Real friends don't make friends feel bad about having uneven tomatoes on their bruschetta. Best friends do though, so. All those seeds out of the way, and we definitely need more tomatoes. So I'm going to finish chopping this, then I'm going to go check that banana bread just one more time, and then we'll get to making the actual balsamic vinegary sauce, if you will, that's going to go on our tomatoes, on our little vegetable mixture, and then we're going to whip all that together and top off our toasted bread, which again goes in the oven at 350 for 4 to 5 minutes, all right? Keep an eye on it. You don't want it to burn. Let me go ahead and finish chopping these guys. Ooh, I can smell that banana bread already. It is going to be yummy. And again, I'm going to keep my fingers tucked out of the way as much as possible because I don't want to lose a fingertip. Because I'm ready to dig in. So now that we've gone ahead and finished chopping up our 2 cups of our tomatoes, our diced tomatoes, we're going to go ahead and create basically our little vinaigrette, if you will. All right, so we're going to add in our 2 tablespoons of olive oil. So that is 1, 2. And then our 2 tablespoons of balsamic vinegar. So, 1, 2. And then, now you can chop this, but I'm just going to go ahead and rip it with my fingers. I'm going to throw in some fresh parsley and some fresh basil, all right? And that's really, and let me show you this real quick before I continue, because this is actually pretty cool. So fresh herbs are really, really strong, and they pack a huge flavorful punch. All right, so that is my fresh parsley that you're seeing there. And then, of course, I'll grab my basil next. All right, ooh, that's a big one. Go ahead and set that down. All right, and then that is my fresh basil, and it is very strong. Fresh basil there. All right. So I'll actually just pull that out of there, because they gave me quite a bit. So I'm gonna go ahead and take my parsley and just pull it between my fingers, and that is going to get me all the leaves off without that stem. Right, and I'm just going to go ahead and give that a nice tear. Again, if you want more even pieces, you can chop it, but I'm just going to tear it with my fingers. Still gets the same results. But you want only about a teaspoon of that parsley, so 1 teaspoon. And again, these are fresh herbs, and so you don't want to use too many because they are very, very strong. All right, and then I'm going to get my big old basil leaves. And these guys, because they're so big, we're going to go ahead and chop them. And I need about 5 of them, okay? So some for garnish, and some to go into my mixture. So that's 3. 4. Need some big ones. All right, in 5, and then I'm just going to go ahead and set my basil to the side, grab my cutting board, and let's just go ahead and lay these out flat first. And then we're just going to roll them up. Tuck our fingers out of the way. And then we'll go ahead and dice these up. And again, we don't need all this basil in the mixture. And then we're just going to roll them up. Tuck our fingers out of the way. And then we'll go ahead and dice these up. And again, we don't need all this basil in the mixture. We just need enough for the inside of the mixture as well as for garnish, right? Great job. So now we got our basil nice and chopped and set off to the side. Let's see. So, now the next thing we need to do is we're going to go ahead and add in our 1/4 teaspoon of salt, alright? So just 1/4 teaspoon of salt. I'm going to do this over the sink because I don't want to add in too much. So that is that, and then alright, so that's plenty of salt. And again, we're just using a small amount, and then 1/8 teaspoon of garlic, which is really about a pinch. It's really a pinch, but for the sake of measuring, I'm going to use 1/8 teaspoon of garlic powder. Again, that's just going to add that punch of flavor, because that's what we want. We want flavor. We don't want huge amounts of salt or huge amounts of sugar. We want flavor. Okay, so go over there. You're going to go here. Alright, so we've added our olive oil, our white balsamic vinegar, our basil, our parsley. Actually, we're just using regular balsamic vinegar. So we're going to get good flavor. And then we got our basil, our parsley, our salt, and our garlic powder. And now we're just going to whisk this together. Go ahead and blend those flavors. So we are blending this. And again, we're using regular balsamic vinegar. Again, we're still going to get good flavor. So don't you worry. And if you're using white balsamic vinegar, it'll just be a different color. But again, still good flavor. And now we are going to pour it over our veggies, which again was our minced garlic, our white onion, and our 2 cups of our diced tomatoes. Alright. I'm going to make sure we get all those fresh herbs out of there and into our mixture. And oh, it's smelling so good. Alright. And then let's go ahead and get that nice and mixed. So I wish you guys could smell this because it smells wonderful. It smells so good, and even though you can't see her, my dog just walked in. She got really excited. All right. We're going to let that rest for just a little bit. So, now that everything is said and done and out of the oven, I went ahead and scooped on our topping for our bruschetta, and then I took some of our feta cheese here, so a little bit of feta cheese, and I just went ahead and minced that up just a little more so it could fit nicely on top of our bruschetta, and I'm just going to show you this right here. So this just makes a great appetizer. So we have our bruschetta there. And then of course our nice, moist, and super healthy banana bread that came out so well. And of course we have our moment of truth, because I can't just ask you to make this stuff without trying it. I mean, so that banana bread is moist, it's flavorful, not dried out, jam-packed, full of flavor, super sweet as well, which is great because, again, it only has a very little amount of sugar and salt in it, so it's pretty flavorful considering we didn't add cups and cups of sugar, just a little extra banana. And again, super flavorful, super moist. Only took about 35 to 40 minutes to make. I did have to put it back in because it still was a little undone in the middle, but we're set now. Now, I'm going to try the bruschetta next. Alright. It is absolutely delicious. That fresh, ripened tomato adds a little bit of tang to it. Well, that vinegar really just adds a punch of flavor. And of course you have just a wisp of garlic in there. And if you like, you can add a little balsamic glaze to the top for an extra bit of flavor and sweetness. So actually, let me just do that to all of them. Just add a little drizzle on top of each of these guys. And since we added an ingredient, of course I have to take another bite, so. And it is absolutely delicious, everyone. So, this is a great way, again, of getting in that fiber that we talked about the last time. And it's also a great way of getting in your vegetables as well with that bruschetta. So definitely give it a try. And remember to always get in your 5 food groups, those grains, those dairy, that fruits, vegetables, as well as your protein, and to stay strong, eat healthy. Bye, guys.
Thank you, Sam, for putting that together for us. Those are both staples in my house when we talk about bruschetta and we talk about banana bread. I'm super excited. I'm about to go home and convince my girlfriend to start cooking. And while I do that, I think it's about time that we're going to bring Leah and Samantha in for a little post-food stretching and potentially some exercising. That banana bread really was something to behold, though. I'm going to throw this little video in real quick. As part of what we do with Generations Unlimited, we also operate Local Motion, which is a local public transit system. And we just want to throw this in and kind of talk about what we've been doing.
Here at Local Motion, safety is paramount for our customers, the community, and our staff. We provide masks and gloves and hand sanitizer for our drivers and masks and hand sanitizers for our passengers. And it is required that they wear a mask if they want to ride on our public transit system. When drivers and staff come to work, we take temperatures and do a health survey for the day to ensure that people are healthy, and we do weekly COVID testing of our employees. For our passengers, we limit the number of seats that we use on the bus so that we force social distancing. We have put up driver barriers. They're plexiglass barriers around the drivers so that both the drivers and the passengers are protected. We also have a very stringent sanitation process The drivers are to sanitize with spray and wipes after each trip, but then every night we do a deep sanitation of every vehicle and our office space to protect our passengers and our staff.
All right, and now that we have done that little promo, we have the Clemson SNAP-Ed team. We have Leah, we have Samantha, and you guys go ahead and introduce yourselves and take it away.
All right, guys. So can you hear me okay out there, David?
I can.
All right, perfection. So welcome to another Wednesday and workout session with Clemson SNAP Education Program. Again, my name is Samantha, and I'm here with my co-educator, Leah, and we're just going to walk you through, just like last week, those neutral spine exercises, breathing exercises, because we all got to get in the zone. We got to de-stress. We got to put all that nastiness behind us. Kind of like my dog. She wants to stare at nature at the moment, so just ignore her in the background. And then lastly, we'll do a little bit of light cardio, and then we'll wrap it up with some more deep breathing and be done. So who's ready to get started?
Sam, I got to tell you, when I was cutting these together last week and cutting this video to kind of send it out in smaller portions, I ended up stopping it while you were doing the yoga section. And I ended up doing the yoga with you guys before I did any of the video cutting. So it has given me value now twice. I'm very excited.
All right, David. Now listen, you may be in the background, but I expect you to still be working out with us, understand?
I'll be in the background.
Start cooking more. She's going to start cooking more. That means you're going to start packing it on. So you got to start.
That's true. People have been telling me that I need to really start taking that seriously. All right, guys, I'm going to dip out of here. Leah and Samantha, take it away.
All right, guys. So just like last week, the first thing we're going to do is our neutral spine exercise. Now, for those of you who might be new, the neutral spine exercise is just basically a way of setting up proper posture. All right. So we don't want to be slouching. We don't want to be off to the side. If you're sitting in the chair like this, just kind of chilling and taking a look at us through this video screen, stop it. We see you. We can't really see you, but we see you. Stop it. Get it together. Sit up straight. And let's get ready to do this exercise. All right. So first things first, we need to plant our bums in the chair. All right. So go ahead, grab a seat wherever you can find one. If you want to sit on the floor, I welcome it. I can't really see you, so I can't judge you. All right. So we're going to go ahead and plant our bums in the chair. Going to give it a good mountain pose. We're going to sit up straight. And the first thing we're going to do is we are going to find our pelvic placement. All right. Believe it or not, your posture doesn't start at your back and it doesn't even start at your neck. All right. It starts with your pelvis. All right. So that's really your hip bones. So it starts with your pelvis and you want to go ahead and find your proper placement for that. Easy way to do that is to just do a nice little rocking motion back and forth. If you need to scooch up in your chair just a little bit, feel free to do that. And you're going to rock back and forth in your chair. And you'll notice that as you lean forward, your pelvis leans forward and you feel a little uncomfortable. As you lean backwards, your pelvis leans back and you feel a little uncomfortable. But there's a middle ground in between there where you feel planted and secure and just right. That middle ground, that's where you want to be for these exercises, whether it's the breathing, the yoga, or even that light cardio that we're going to be up and down doing a little bit of stuff with. All right. So let's try that again. We're going to lean forward. And that's where you're going to feel a little uncomfortable because you're pressing forward. Your pelvis is leaning forward towards your screen. All right. And then we're going to lean backwards. You'll notice that, again, you're feeling a little uncomfortable. All right. Pelvis not in the proper position. But once we get that right there in the middle, that's going to be the perfect spot. And that's where we're going to land at. So now that our pelvis is seated in our seat properly, the next thing that we are going to go ahead and do is we're going to go ahead and make sure that our heart is aligned right over our pelvis. Now, why is that important? So the reason why we want our heart to be aligned over our pelvis, the reason why we want our heart to be aligned right over our pelvis is because we want to make sure, again, that we have proper posture. All right. So imagine your heart sitting over a bowl and your pelvis is that bowl. When your heart drops, you want it to fall right in the middle. So proper alignment, proper posture. Now, the next thing you want to go ahead and do is make sure that your head is aligned right over your heart, all right? So head, heart, pelvis. Once you've done that, the dog does say hello. Once you've done that, then you're in perfect alignment. So you got our head, heart, pelvis. And that's exactly where we need to be. So the next thing we're going to go ahead and do is start with those breathing exercises, all right? Now, if you need to take a couple more seconds to adjust, feel free to do that as we begin. Because, of course, the first exercise, just as we did the last time, is just going to be breathing through our nose and our mouths, all right? So super simple, just getting us ready for that breath work and getting us ready to work out. So we're going to breathe in and then breathe out. In and out. I hope you're doing this too, David. In and out. One last time. In and out. All right, guys. Next thing we're going to do is our diaphragm breathing. So again, when we are breathing from our diaphragm, we're not sucking in a bunch of air, making our stomachs puff out. All right, we want our stomach to stay the same, and we want to feel our lungs expand. All right, we want to feel the sides of our upper chest expand. All right, so that's what we want to move. Keep your tummy nice and tight, and then breathe in really deep, and you should feel your lungs, your sides start to come out a little. That's when we're breathing from our diaphragm. That's when we're really taking in that air, and we're really starting to relax and get into our breath work, all right? So let's go ahead and give that a try. So again, keep your tummy nice and tight. Breathe in. Expand those lungs. Breathe out. Great job on that first one. Let's do it again. Breathe in. And breathe out. Great job. 3 more. Breathe in. And breathe out. Two more. Breathe in. And breathe out. One more. Give it a good one. Breathe in. And breathe out. All right, great job, great job. So last breath exercise we're gonna do before we get right into our chair yoga led by Miss Leah is we're gonna go ahead and we're going to do our paced breathing, or essentially our equal breathing, all right? And so what this means is that we want our inhale to be equal in length to our exhale. So when I breathe in for 4 counts, so 1, 2, 3, 4, and hold it, I'm gonna release 1, 2, 3, 4. And we're going to do that for 4 counts, 7 counts, and then 8 counts. All right. So we'll do it 3 times for 4 counts, 7 counts, and 8 counts. So let's see how good you are at your cardio. See if you've been keeping up. All right. So first one is for 4 counts. We're going to breathe in for 4 counts, and then we're going to hold it and then release for 4. And if you feel the need to release a little bit ahead of time, that's okay. It takes practice, and sometimes we just need a break. So let's begin. Breathe in. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold. Release. Good. Now we're going to do it 3 more times, okay? So come in. Release. All right. Now give me one more for this 4 count, then we're going to do the 7 and the 8 count. All right. So breathe in. Release. right, perfect. Now let's do the 7 and 8 count. Now again, if you need to release early and take a break, that's perfectly fine. Not going to judge. All right, so we're going to breathe in for 7 counts, hold, then let go for 7 counts. And because this was a little longer, I'll only make you do it twice. All right, so let's go. Breathe in. Breathe out. Great job. All right, one more time for that 7 count, then we'll move on to the 8. All right, so breathe in. Hold it. And release. All right, now you're going to notice yourself starting to really have to focus on your breath, starting to really pay attention to what your lungs are doing, how you're feeling during this time. All right, now we're going to do this one more time, but this time we're going to do it for the 8 counts. All right, and we're only going to do it once. So let's go. Breathe in. Hold it. And release. Great job, guys. All right, Miss Leah, take it away.
Good afternoon, everyone. As Sam mentioned, my name is Leah Price. I'm a health educator at Clemson SNAP-Ed, and we're going to be doing a few chair yoga poses with everyone today. So what I need you to do is keep your position the same in your chair. If you have to adjust a little bit, please do. Okay? And for everyone, we're going to do mountain pose first. So mountain pose includes staying where you are, not too far back, not too far hunched over, okay? And we're going to find our center and make sure your head stays above your heart, okay? So you can have your feet, you can have them close together or you can have them shoulder width apart, whichever you find most comfortable at this point, okay? And what I want you to do is we're going to bring our torso down, but we're going to keep our head up and maintain our breathing. We're going to do that 5 times, okay? Is everyone ready? Let's do a practice run and I'll show you how it's done, okay? All right, so notice here, go down slowly. Make sure you're keeping your head up and come back up, okay? We're going to do that 5 times. You can do it at your own pace. All right, let's go down. And back up. That was 1. Let's go down. And up. 3 more. Down. And up. Let's go down. And up. And just 1 more, guys. You're doing great. Down. And up. All right, guys. So the next exercise that we're going to be doing, you'll recognize it from last week. It is called sun salutation. Okay, so we're going to keep our feet and our legs just about where they are, but our hands and our arms are going to be down by our side. Okay, so this is a 2-part step. Okay, you're going to bring your arms straight up. You're going to meet your hands in the middle. You're going to bring it down here. And you're going to let it and leave it up. So your hands are going to look like a T. Your upper body is going to look exactly like a T and you're going to bring them down. Okay, so we're going to try that one more time. Okay, let's make sure we get ourselves comfortable. So we're going to bring our arms up slowly. Meet your hands in the middle. Bring it down. Pull your hands out. And you're going to bring them down. Okay, so we're going to do that one 5 times. Okay, you are welcome to do it at your own pace. Do not feel rushed. Okay, ready? Let's go. So we're going to go up. Hands in the middle. We're going to bring ourselves down. We're going to open our arms up. And we're going to bring our arms down. Okay. Up. Okay. Hands in the middle. Bring it down. Open them up. 3 more, guys. You're doing great. Up. Bringing in. Down to the middle. Out. And down. Okay. 2 more. Looking good. Looking good. Let's go up. Meet in the middle. Bring it down. Open it up. And bring it down one more time. Good job, guys. One more time. Looking good. Bring it up slowly. Meet in the middle. Bring it down. Open it up. And bring it down. Good job, guys. So the next exercise that we are going to be doing is the seated spinal twist. Okay, I understand that may sound a little bit complicated, but if you were in your chair, it only requires about 2 or 3 movements. Okay, so we can do our left side first, whichever side you want to start off with, do the opposite side. So to do this, make sure your body's still upright and make sure you are still in the middle. We are going to take our right hand. I'm going to go to my left first. I'm going to take my right hand, put it over. You can put it on your thigh or you can put it on the back of your chair. So whichever one suits you best, you are welcome to do it either way. If you put it on the back of your chair, you can put it on the post right here, okay? And what you are going to do is you're going to extend the arm that is not holding on to something. You're going to extend it back so your body will be halfway turned, okay? So I'm going to show you how to do it just one time, so watch me, okay? Going to turn here and hold it for 5 seconds each, okay? All right, guys, we're going to start. We're going to do 5, okay? All right, let's start on this one. Okay, and we're going to turn, and it should feel like you are twisting your body in half, hence the half spinal twist. Okay, let's bring it back. And now you can do the other side. Do the same, bring the same principle to the other side with you. Turn. And you're going to do exactly that, okay? Okay. And you're going to do 5 on each side. So we're going to do them together. We have 3 left, okay? Alrighty, let's move to whichever side you didn't do last time, okay? So hand out. Okay. We're gonna hold this for 5 seconds. Let's turn back. Let's go to your next side. Hold it for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, bring it back. And the last time, guys, looking good, looking strong. Hold it. And we're going to hold it for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay. All right, guys, great job. So the next one we are actually going to do is the seated half moon twist. Okay, guys, so this one may be a little bit different. I want you to make sure that your upper body is nice and straight and you are in a comfortable position. Okay, so you're going to bring your arms out like you're in a T. You're going to have your palm side up. Palm side up, okay? What you are going to do, you're going to take your right or your left hand, you're going to turn it over. The hand that you don't turn over, that's still palm side up, you are going to lean in that direction. Don't lean like the Leaning Tower of Pisa. Lean straight over. Okay? And then you're going to come back to the center, pull the palm up, that is palm side down, and you're going to go in that direction. So I did my right last time. We're going to go to our right. Okay? And we're going to just turn and come back and put both your palms up. Whichever side you decide to go with, make sure you alternate them back. Okay? Is everyone ready? Let's go. Lean, turn. Keep the palm that you are going towards, keep that palm up. So this palm is up. And I'm going to find my way back. Turn my next palm over, and I am going to go in that direction. And come back. Next side. Come back. And the last one, guys. Okay, good job, everyone. I hope everyone feels stretched out. Bring your arms by your side. Okay, we are going to do seated calf stretches. So how many people wake up after you've had a hard workout the day before and your calves are the sorest thing on your body? I know I do. So we're going to show you a way to stretch your calves and do it seated. Okay, so whichever leg you decide to do first is perfectly fine. Choose one. But the leg that you are not, the calf that you are not stretching needs to be at a 90-degree angle. So it just needs to be planted on the ground. Okay, make sure you give yourself a little bit of space with this one. Okay, so we're going to extend the leg that you've chosen. You are going to put it out. You're going to put it pretty much straight. You may have to sit on the edge of your chair. Okay, you're going to put it on your heel. You're going to rest your heel on the ground and the rest of your foot will be off the ground. Okay, you are going to lean down as much as you can or as comfortable as you feel. If it feels like you're overextending yourself, put yourself back in a comfortable position. We don't want to overextend ourselves at all. Okay, and we're going to do this 15 seconds on each leg. Okay, and we'll count down from 15. So just making sure that you have one leg straight and one leg that is still planted. Okay, all right, guys, we're going to start the countdown. If you are ready, start on the leg that you choose. All right, guys, let's go. And make sure when you are not, don't slump yourself all the way down. You want to do like you were in mountain pose and just bring it down slightly. and keep your head up. Okay? All right, guys. Everyone ready? Come up, and we're ready to go. So we're going to count down 15, 14, 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Perfect, perfect, perfect. All right, guys. So you can feel the stretch in the back. That's where your calf is, right here at the back of that is your calf muscle. That is right in here. Okay. We're going to do the opposite leg now. Okay. Whether that be your left or your right. Just make sure you're comfortable and make sure you are where you want to be. Okay. So we're going to keep one foot planted and one foot on its heel. Okay. Everyone ready? Let's go. So we're going to make sure we are at least attempting to touch your foot or wherever you find yourself most comfortable. Okay, we're going to hold this for 15, 14, 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. And we're going to bring that back up slowly. And we're going to get seated back in our position. And we're going to do the mountain pose one more time. And that will wrap up my contribution to this video. All right, guys. So we're going to make sure we are nice and comfortable. Body is straight. Your head's over your heart. Remember, you are not going to bring your head all the way down. You're not going to slump yourself. You're going to calm down slowly. And we're going to do that 5 times. Okay? Everyone ready? Let's go. Bring it down. And we're going to bring it right back up. Okay? Bring it down. And bring it right back up. Bring it down. Bring it right back up. 2 more, guys. Looking good, looking good. Bring it down. And bring it right back up. 1 more, guys. Bringing it down. And bringing it right back up. Good. Great job, guys. I hope you've enjoyed our chair yoga. Thank you.
Awesome job, Leah. Awesome job. So the last thing, of course, we're going to go ahead and get into is our light cardio for the day. Now, because Miss Leah is here, she's going to be doing the modified chair version. So essentially, if you are a chair user, whether that's sitting on the couch or using your wheelchair, go ahead and follow along with her. If you'd like to stand up for a bit, then stand up with me, all right? So we're going to get into some light cardio. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and put our hands on our hips, make sure that we have proper posture. That is the first and foremost thing that we've got to get down before we start exercising, whether you're lifting weights, whether it's doing sit-ups, whether it is doing jumping jacks. You always want to make sure you got that proper posture. So let's start there. Stand up straight, nice and tall. Make sure that you are not slouching forward to the side. If you're still sitting in your chair like this, get on up. So let's go ahead and get in our proper alignment. Feet should be right below your pelvis. Pelvis, of course, over your feet. Heart over your pelvis and head over your heart. Stand up straight as you can. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is we're just going to start marching in place. If you're sitting in your chair, go ahead and lift those legs up as high as you can. That is the first portion. So we're going to go ahead and march in place. So left, right, left, right, left, right? Right now, we're just gonna go ahead and get that heart rate up just a little bit. Again, this is some light cardio, so we're not gonna be doing anything extensive. Now we're gonna go ahead and make fists. We're gonna get ready to do some jabs, okay? So we're gonna make those fists, and we're gonna go ahead and start punching, all right? So we're marching, and then left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right. And you should start to feel it in your legs if you're standing. If you're sitting, you're going to start to feel it a little bit in your legs as well as in your arms, all right? We're going to keep this going for about 10 more seconds. So 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Back to the middle. Perfect, perfect, perfect. Somehow I started marching myself up to my computer. Had to back up just a little bit on the camera. All right. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to reach to the side. If you're in the chair, it's kind of like doing those seated twists, but in this case, you're just going to reach out. So reach your leg out in front of you, and you're going to reach to the side at the same time. Then bring it back to the middle, leg in front, and reach out to the side. If you're standing up with me, that leg's going to go off to the back, and you're going to reach out in front of you, all right? So you're going to give me some nice twists. All right, we're going to do that for 10 seconds. So I'll demonstrate one last time. If you're standing, I want to see that leg go back, and you go ahead and reach out in front of you. If you're sitting, that leg goes forward. So forward, and you're going to reach to the side at the same time. So forward, reach, woo. Reach, reach, and reach if you're in that chair. Again, only as high as you're able to go. Don't overdo it. If 2 hours later you are still in some excruciating pain, that means you overdid it and you got to take a break or ease up a little with this next week. All right, so let's do that for 10 seconds. Ready? Let's go. So 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, perfection, perfection. So the next thing we're going to go ahead and do is our modified jumping jacks. Now, for those of you who may have had knee replacements, or maybe your knees, you have arthritis, things of that nature, that's okay. With these jumping jacks, we're just going to go ahead, have our palms facing forward. We're going to go ahead and extend them up and put our legs out to the side, all right? So these are modified jumping jacks. We're not going up and down. We're just standing still, all right? So palms forward. If you're in the chair, you're going to stick that leg forward. So you're going to put it out and bring those arms up. So that would be one for you all. If you're chair users, if you're standing up with me, you're going to put those legs out to the side. And this is our modified jumping jacks. All right, so we're going to do that 10 times. Give me a thumbs up if we're ready to go. Perfection. All right. Remember, if you're a chair user, leg up. If you're standing, leg to the side. In 3, 2, 1. So 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. And remember, you can always stop this video if you need to take a break, or later on, you can always rewind it and do it multiple times if you just got the energy. So the next thing we're going to go ahead and do is we're going to balance on one leg, all right? Now, this is extremely important. If you are sitting in a chair, then feel free to just lift that leg up as high as you can get it. And we're going to go ahead and build up our endurance, all right? So we're building up a little bit of our muscle strength, but we're also building up our endurance. If we're sitting in a chair, you're just going to lift that leg up as high as you can and lift those arms up in the air. If you are standing, then you're going to go ahead and lift those arms up in the air and lift that leg up as high as you can. Now, if you need help with your balance, say you use a walking assist, go ahead and grab the back of your chair, all right? Because again, this is to build endurance and balance for your legs, all right? So it's okay if you need to grab that chair, lift your arm up and lift that leg up as high as you can. So we've got 3 versions for you. So if you're in a chair, you're going to lift that leg up, arms up. Perfect form. If you are standing, you're going to throw both arms in the air and lift that leg up as high as you can, or use your chair. That way you don't teeter-totter because we want you safe. All right, so we're going to do that for about 10 seconds per leg. So 10 and 10. Are we ready? Perfect. All right, so let's begin. So 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Release it slowly. All right, don't just let that leg drop down because it's going to hurt. All right, so that's one leg. Now we need to get the other one. Doesn't matter which one you started with. We just got to get that other one. We don't want one Popeye's leg and then one super skinny leg. They got to be even. So let's go ahead and get this next leg in there. All right, so let's get ourselves ready. Get into the proper position. In 3, 2, 1. Get it on up there. And you'll notice a difference between your driving leg and your non-driving leg. And that's okay. So let's hold it for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let it go slowly. All right, perfection, perfection. Next thing we're going to do is called our posture stretch, all right? Posture is so key to everything. Whether you're sitting in the car for long car rides, you're sitting at Pee-wee, whichever, football, baseball, basketball, whichever one, long periods of time in the stands, you want to make sure that you are keeping good posture because that's going to keep you comfortable, all right? That's going to leave you with a little less pain. So we're going to do a posture stretch. So I want you to go ahead, place your palms outwards, squeeze your shoulder blades together. So I want to see you squeeze those bad boys together. Squeeze your shoulder blades together and then look up towards the ceiling. And what you're going to start to feel there is just a bit of a stretch right back there in your spine. A little bit in your neck. And we're going to hold that for about 10 seconds, all right? So in 3, 2, 1, palms up. Squeeze your shoulder blades together. Hold them together the entire time. Stare towards the ceiling. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, then go ahead and release and roll your shoulders a little. Release that tension. Let it go. Let it fall off. All right, we got one more, and then we're set for today, y'all. So the last thing we're going to go ahead and do is called our shoulder stretch. And you've probably done this about 100 times, but you're really just going to go ahead and plant yourself on the ground. Make sure you have proper posture. Then you're going to take your arm. Here we go, David. You ready? All right, so then we're going to take our arm, whichever one, doesn't matter. We're going to bring it across our chest. We're going to take our hand, cup our elbow, and we're just going to gently press, all right? What you're going to start to feel is a stretch right here in your shoulder. We're not trying to puff our arms out of place, and we're not trying to hurt our elbows, so don't put so much pressure on there. Just enough to start to feel that tension, and when you feel that tension, hold it, all right? So let's go ahead and shake our shoulders loose really quick. Release that tension. All right, and then we're going to hold that for 10 seconds apiece, y'all. All right, so are we ready? All right, so start with whichever arm you feel like. And then we're just gonna go ahead and bring that arm across our chest. We're gonna cup our elbow gently, apply just a slight amount of pressure. Then we're gonna hold that for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Then go ahead and let that drop slowly. All right, shake out that tension. All right, now we're going to take the arm that we haven't done yet. Got to keep it even, y'all. And we're going to bring it across our chest. Cup our elbow very gently. Go ahead and apply that pressure ever so slightly. Reach out with your hand. That's when you're going to really feel that deep stretch for those of you who are prepped for it. If not, don't feel bad. It's okay. Just apply a little bit of pressure. Stretch it out, and we're going to hold that for 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Release it, let it go. All right. So let's go ahead and grab those chairs. I'm going to end off in our mountain pose. We'll do just a couple of breathing, a little bit of breathing in and out, because we're about to jump into our day. All right, guys. So let's do this 5 times. In through the nose, out through the mouth. Ready? So breathe in. Release. 4 more. Breathe in. Release. Give me 3 good ones. Breathe in, deep, deep, deep. Release. Exhale, exhale, exhale. Now breathe in, 2 more. Release. Last one, guys. Give me a good one. Breathe in. Hold it, hold it. Release. All right, everyone. We want to thank you so much for working out with us again on another wonderful, wonderful Wednesday. And I hope you all have a wonderful and great day. Stay safe out there. Wash your hands and come join us again for another workout session with Clemson SNAP-Ed. Bye, guys.
I muted myself so I wouldn't interrupt you. Amazing how fast 10 seconds is until you're holding a stretch for 10 seconds, and then it's a totally different world. That's what
Exactly.
I know. Leah, Sam, thank you guys so much for being here. We'll see you next week. You guys are, as always, fantastic and the best. And thank you for tuning in to our Generations Unlimited online virtual program. We've put a survey in the comments below here. If you guys have any thoughts about some interesting things you'd like to see us do, fill that survey out and we will do them. We will be back next week with Tech 101, more cooking classes, more exercise, more yoga, and just a bunch more awesome things. Thank you guys for tuning in. Have a good Wednesday.